Hello learners, welcome to class. Today we are going to start new chapter in statistics. Yes, that is organization of data. In this we are going to see data organization and classification and methods of classification. Under the method of classification, we will be learning about chronological classification, geographical, qualitative and quantitative. And then you will be learning about what does mean by variables. Under variables, you will be learning about what is the discrete variables and what is the continuous variables. And then you'll be learning about what is the individual series and discrete series. Let's start now. Let's start with the meaning of classification. What does mean by classification? Classification is a process of arranging the data into sequences and groups according to their common characteristics or separating them into different but related parts. Okay. So in this previous chapter, that is in the collection of data, we learned how to collect the data, isn't it? Through primary as well as the secondary data. So in this classification, after the classification, what we'll be doing in it? The meaning of classification is nothing but the classification is a process of we'll be arranging the data into the sequences. Okay, and after that, we'll groups according to the common characteristics and we'll separate them into different but related parts. We are calling it as a meaning of classification. Types of classification. So this data is classified on the basis of four bases. One, qualitative and quantitative, and chronological and geographical. Okay, so these are the four types of classification. This qualitative classification, the data is classified on the basis of descriptive character. Yes, we are calling it as a qualitative classification. What is the chronological? Chronological classification, the data is classified with respect to different period of time. We are calling it as a chronological classification. Geographical classification, the data is classified according to the geographical location or a region. We are calling it as a geographical classification. And the third one, quantitative classification, is nothing but the data is classified on the basis of characteristics which can be measured. We are calling it as a quantitative classification. So these are the four types of classification: qualitative, chronological, geographical and quantitative. Let's start with the first method of classification. Yes, geographical classification. In the geographical classification, when the data is classified according to the geographical location or a region, it's called as a geographical location. Yes. See, for example, when population of the different states is presented, we say that it is according to the geographical classification. Yes. So in this, the example of geographical distribution, yes, you can able to see the state-wise estimation of production of food grains. Yes, serial number and the number of states, name of the states and total food grains. Yes, in the 1,000 tons. Okay. So which it's denoted in the form of geographical location or a region. So it's called as a geographical classification. Let's move to the second method of classification. Yes, chronological classification. What is a chronological classification? When the data is classified with respect to different period of a time. Okay, so this type of classification, it's known as chronological classification. See, in the example, here I have given you the population of India. Yes, 1941 to 1991. Yes, with for the different years which can be given according to the chronological classification. Yes, the year from 1941 to 1981. Yes, the population increases. So, which is denoted in the form of a different period of a time. This type of classification, it's known as chronological classification. Let's move to the third one, qualitative classification. So, in a qualitative classification, the data which is classified on the basis of descriptive character or on the basis of attributes. What are the attributes? The attributes like literacy, region, caste, etc., which can be quantified. We'll be calling it as a qualitative classification. Yes, under this qualitative classification, it's a two types. One, simple classification, and second one, we'll be calling it as a manifold classification. Yes, what does mean by simple classification? When the facts are classified into two classes, okay, according to the attributes. Yes, then the classification is said to be a simple one. See, for example, dividing the population of a city into two groups. One is male, another one is a female. then the classification is very simple one. Okay, the second one, manifold classification, when the facts are classified according to more than one attributes, or when each class is subdivided into more than two subclasses, then the classification is said to be manifold. See, for example, we can classify the population of a city of male as well as a female and subdivide it into literacy, illiteracy, further divide according to the religion. We find that a number of classes are formed. Yes, we'll be calling it as a qualitative classification. So qualitative classification, the data which can be classified on the basis of descriptive character or on the basis of attributes like literacy, region, caste, sex, whatever education, etc. We are calling it as a qualitative classification. It's a third method of classification. Let's move to the fourth method of classification, quantitative classification. Yes, in this classification, the data is classified on the basis of characteristics, some characteristics. Yes, which can be measured with the height, weight, income, expenditure, production, or a sales. We'll be calling it as a quantitative classification. Let's move to the concept of variable. What is a variable? Variable is nothing but which refers to the quantity or attributes whose value varies from one investigations to the another. We'll be calling it as a variable. Actually, the term variable is derived from the word vary, okay, which means what? Differ or a change. We'll be calling it as a variable. So a variable which refers to the quantity or attributes whose value varies from one investigations to the another. See, for example, price. It's a variable because the price of different commodities is different one. And age. It's a variable because the age of different students is varies. So, similarly, some more variables are like height, weight, wages, expenditure, imports, production, etc. We'll be calling it as a variables. Okay, in this, there are two types of variable. One, we'll be calling it as a discrete variable, and second one, it's a continuous variable. Let's start with the first one, discrete variable. The variable which are capable of taking only the exact value. Yes. And not any fractional value, which termed as a discrete variable. So discrete variable is nothing but taking the exact value, yes, not any fractional value. We'll be calling it as a discrete variables. An example, the number of workers or number of students in a class will be called as a discrete variables as they cannot be in a fractions. Yes, of course, number of children in a family can be 1, 2 or so on, but cannot be in the form of 1.15 or 2.75. That's what the number of children and number of families. It's denoted in the table. Yes, so total children and number of families, it's 40. Yes, we'll be calling it as a discrete variable. So discrete variable is nothing but it's taking only the exact value. Yes, not any fractional value. We'll be calling it as a discrete variable. Let's move to the next one, continuous variable. Those variables which can take all the possible values. Yes, like integral as well as the fractional. Yes, this given specific range, it's termed as a continuous variable. And in this, the height or weight of individual can be of any value within the limits. Okay, and apart from it, in this, the data is obtained by measurement. That's why in this table, the first column, it's measured with the weight in kg, and second one with the number of students. The class interval from 40 to 45, the number of students is 22. 45 to 50, it's 6. 50 to 55, 9. 55 to 60 is 10, and 60 to 65 is 3. So its total students is 50. Yes, so we'll be calling it as a continuous variable. So in this, the variable which can be take place all the possible values like integral as well as the fractional, we'll be calling it as a continuous variable. Let us quickly recall what we studied in the session. First, we have started with the meaning of classification and what are the methods of classification. Yes, what are the methods we have discussed? First, we have discussed with the geographical, chronological, qualitative and quantitative. And then what is the concept of variable and types of variable, discrete variable and continuous variable. Yes, thank you all.